The bob cut is the best haircut ever. It's probably what you want me to say. With summer approaching and with more and more short, trendy hairstyles popping up on our radar, the urge to grab a pair of scissors and just hack away at our hair is at an all-time high. But short haircuts are fun for the very same reason they're a risk. It's a commitment. So today I'm going to be telling you which is the best haircut to get, not based on looks and not based on wear, but based on what it's like to actually have the haircut. Grow out phase, styling, management, time consumption, and general suitability. Spoken out of experience because I've tried literally every single one of these. Pixie, bob, buzzcut, mullet, which one is the best haircut to actually get for the summertime, and which one you should stay away from and never ever attempt. Buckle up, babies, because we're about to go down the best haircutting journey of this platform. Don't grab those scissors just yet. In my journey as a content creator, but more so as a hairstylist, I have tried out pretty much every single haircut there is to try. But I've had a particular affinity for shorter haircuts. The buzz cut, the pixie, the boy cut, the mullet, the bob. Some have been absolutely beyond incredible, but many of them I have come to look at distastefully, mainly because of the maintenance that it carried. Some of them were just plain ugly. And in a world where we are constantly searching for that one perfectly flattering complementary haircut, today I'm going to be sharing my experiences of what it was like getting every single short haircut and whether it might be the perfect fit for you. Maybe it's the exact style that you're looking for that could be perfect without any negatives or side effects. Starting off super strong with the pixie. This is a haircut that has in all ways surprised me. Not only with its particular rise in popularity around the 2010s, with literally every single celebrity trying it, but then with my own experience with this haircut. The first thing I want to start by saying is that I loved my pixie era. Going from a mullet to a pixie was genuinely something that I desperately needed. And even though at the time it was the shortest that I had ever gone with my hair, it wasn't short enough that I felt naked or potentially too exposed, which I felt with a lot of other short haircuts. The pixie was like that very fine line between short hair and low commitment, but still enough to be stylish, still enough to have other things that you could do with it. In fact, when I had this haircut, I ended up bleaching my hair, coloring it, as well as doing a very vast range of hairstyles with it that ended up being some of my most favorite ones. There are two singular things that I will say about this particular haircut. The first one is that this haircut is best with finer, straighter hair. Anything curlier or rather denser, frizzier, thicker, I would personally not recommend this. The whole idea of the pixie is that even though the hair is kept super short, it is still kept pretty flat. Overall, the haircut did not carry a lot of volume, it did not carry a lot of movement. The idea was that you kind of style it, forget it. If your hair is thicker, curlier, coarser, frizzier, every single one of those factors is going to hinder the stylishness of the pixie. The whole idea of the pixie is that it's a bit more elegant and refined. In fact, a lot of stylists will take their sweet time cutting it. The second thing that I noticed was that if you have a natural parting, a cowlick, something dominant in your hairline or in your hair growth pattern, it is going to be very evident. As much as I loved pushing all my hair forward, like it satisfied me, within a few hours I would immediately find it going to the side because my hair parts naturally on one side, and that really took away from the edge of the hairstyle. The only thing that I found would actually keep my hair in place is wetting it, blow drying it forward, and then setting it with a styling product. If you have the same hair type or hair growth pattern as me, this haircut might not be for you. It might come off super dull. The only way that this haircut is particularly edgy is with consistent styling. If you lack the styling, it is just going to look like a young boy's haircut. Overall, I would give this an 8 on 10. The buzz cut. I feel like I'm opening up myself to controversy over here once again because my buzz cut era was an interesting one. A lot of people are under the assumption that I did not like my buzz cut, and that is because I've had it for a grand total of 6 weeks. I also made a number of videos and statements regarding to the fact that it was my less pleasurable internet experiences when it comes to sharing my journey with a particular style or cut. However, the buzz cut was by far one of my favorite haircuts for one reason and one reason only: convenience. It is just basic. It is there. It is easy. One of my best things ever was that I got this in the summertime, which meant that for the first time and pretty much the only summer that I could do this, I could go swimming every single day, color my hair every single day, bleach my hair every single day, and not suffer the repercussions. In terms of maintenance, this was super, super easy. Very little money spent on styling products, shampoos, conditioners, washing, very little time spent on it. And because I had a particular affinity for bleaching my hair and then coloring different designs on it, it never felt dull for me. It never felt boring. In fact, it still felt like I was bringing a lot of my style and a lot of myself to the haircut without ever having to do much to the hair itself. Creatively, it was also super, super, super fulfilling because I introduced to myself a brand new medium of hair dyeing. Normally, when we color hair, we're obviously coloring from the roots to the mids to the ends, but when it came to buzz cutting, I was just drawing on a 2D plane essentially. There wasn't anything that I needed to like layer. I could literally just draw designs on. So with that in mind, I am going to give this haircut a solid 7 on 10. There are 3 stars that I will deduct from this, and they are because 1, in my particular case, I decided to share my buzz cut experience to the internet. A lot of people did attribute my buzz cut either to because of extreme damage, either because of consequential hair loss, because I do a lot of things to my hair, or the worst response yet, because I was suffering through mental illness, particularly in relation to Britney Spears shaving off her head as a result of her mental complications in 2007. In fact, pretty much every single time I see a woman with a shaved head on Instagram or on TikTok, there's always something in the comments relating to Britney Spears and mental health. Obviously, I'm not attempting to downgrade or minimize the effect of mental health or anything of the sort, but insinuating that a woman would only shave her head because she's mentally unstable was not fun. Especially because I made it very clear for months upon months upon months prior to me shaving my head that I was going to be shaving my head. In fact, that is why I went through a series of shorter and shorter and shorter haircuts leading to the buzz cut. Like, that was a very strategic and planned thing on my part. It was just something that people did not like. Second reason is the grow out period. Growing this haircut out was a bitch. This haircut is the most commitment out of commitment hairstyles. I thought I was prepared. I'm someone who's very, very, very familiar with her hair and with hairstyling in general. I also have a lot of wigs and ended up creating a wig brand as a result of my buzz cut, so I had a lot of flexibility, and I was also very good with scarves, turbans, anything of the sort. So like I had a bit of flexibility, and yet the year and a half that it took to grow my hair out to like a bob length ended up being probably my lesser favorite time of my life when it comes to artistic creation. Your hair is first gonna go up before it's gonna turn away, but by then the hair at your nape has already started growing down. So ultimately you're just going to be left with a really weird mullet. If your hair is super curly or a fro, a buzz cut is perfect for you because it's going to create a very gorgeous round shape. But if you're Caucasian, like myself, and your hair is essentially straight like a toothpick, it's gonna grow up before it just very gently starts to curl down, but it's gonna take a while. Third and final reason why I deducted a point from this particular haircut: at times I felt like a man, probably not in the right ways. There are moments where I looked in the mirror and I gave myself a bit of a shock. Deeply unattractive. Now obviously I am very secure in myself. I have pretty high self-esteem. I know what I am capable of looking like. I know what I'm capable of looking like without makeup. Still shocked me at times when I would look in the mirror and I'm like, ugh. So I'm like, if you're someone who perhaps doesn't have the best self-esteem, doesn't have a lot of security in the way they look, a buzz cut might be challenging, especially once again if you have finer hair, maybe your hair isn't as thick, or maybe it's too thick and it just keeps growing upwards, which it will. The mullet! How do I put this? I had an okay time with my mullet. The mullet is not my favorite haircut. Out of all of the haircuts that people are deciding to obsess over nowadays, the mullet is probably the one that I'm like most about, because I'm like, it had its moment. In the 80s and the 70s, it had its moment. A lot of people had very frizzy hair. It was a haircut brought out of the time that kind of cultivated it. It made sense. Seeing it so heavily in circulation nowadays, I'm a bit irked because the mullet doesn't suit everybody. And when I had it, I felt like it did not suit my personality. The haircut as a whole is fun, it's creative. It actually merges quite a few different elements. The top is kept like a pixie, sides are kept a bit faded, and then the back is kept quite long. Overall, it's quite an artistically challenging haircut from a haircut point of view. And so I've got to give my respect to that. It also could look quite fun when it's like sea salted, when it's got that like Lola Young vibe. So it does have potential. Mullet is very much a haircut that is one of those ones that has to suit you personality-wise more than it does facially. You are, let's say, someone who's a bit pent up, or maybe a bit more serious, or maybe a bit more like locked inside, like I was. The mullet is not gonna feed you. You're gonna look in the mirror and you're like, is this for me though? Is this really my type of a haircut? But when I see it on so many men and then I see my own pictures, I'm like, we're all going through the same thing. We wanted to try something, we wanted to like contribute to the trend, but now we're like, it wasn't my favorite. I'm gonna give it a 5 on 10. It also doesn't work very well with hair that is very straight, like mine was. If you have a bit of curl, a bit of wave, this can actually have a very, very good potential to look cute. If you have straighter hair, not so much. I love this haircut. I love this haircut. I know it's a wig. I know everyone can see that it's very wiggy. And that's because I didn't bother to style it before this video, which is very amateur of me. I thought I could get away with like a bit of a hip movement, and instead I just look like I'm from the 80s. Speaking of the 80s, the Karen cut. Rather than the 80s, it's actually still pretty popular to this day. But it had its moment in the 90s, Victoria Beckham era, 2000s, and then it kind of reached its peak in 2010. I decided to jump on the bandwagon of the Karen cut in 2023. I liked this haircut. Allow me to explain myself. Just like the mullet is one of those haircuts that is like pretty fun technically, but can be interesting personality-wise, the Karen cut is also one of those haircuts. When it comes to analyzing it from a hairstyling point of view, the Karen cut, or as it's technically called, the graduated bob, is actually quite a fun haircut. It is kept quite long in the front, so you're allowing yourself that flexibility to kind of tuck it behind your ear, to maybe style it, different partings, anything of the sort, but it's kept quite short in the back, so it's quite tidy and sensible. If you pair it also with then quite a dark or dominant haircut, the two pairings together could be quite an interesting combination. Like, I genuinely see this haircut with like deep red everywhere on like a very like spicy girl, and it looking really, really good. I paired it with like a natural brown and then like a deep side part and a blowout, and honestly, I kind of liked it. It was super, super easy to style. It fit my particular hair type, and hair thickness wise, it also fit me. So if you have a similar hair type to me and are willing to give it a bolder hair color, like a deeper red, like a deeper brown, or even like a striking blonde, this haircut actually has a lot of potential. And this is why it is very important to understand that one thing does not maketh the villain. The Karen cut on its own is kind of fine. It is when we then give it volume at the back, a bit of a sprinkling of patchy, chunky highlights, and then a character and an attitude to match, that people decide to hate on it. Don't do that. Overall, I am voting for this haircut to make a comeback. I really enjoyed it. A lot of you guys really enjoyed seeing it in a styling that wasn't common and traditional for this haircut, and I think it is time for us to break the stigma. Do not hate on hair just because it's been stigmatized. I will give this haircut 7 on 10. The boy cut. So far, I've been particularly kind with my opinions towards every single haircut because I do believe that there is something for everyone in every single one of these. The boy cut, I'm gonna give it 2 on 10 stars because I hated it. I hated the boy cut. What is the boy cut? Traditionally, it is when the back is almost the same length as the top, and then it's kind of given like this very like immature-ish little cut. Some people can pull it off. There are some women who are like really good at pulling off the boy cut, like a little spike at the top, a little like edginess on the side, or maybe even like a fun color. I was not. It is in this haircut that I learned that I do not have a diamond-shaped face, which is essential to pulling off the boy cut. No, my face is rather too round for it. And so half the time I was thinking, why do I look like a prepubescent boy, even though I know I'm hot? I know I can look good. There are times where I look decently okay. This haircut was not it. I did not like it. I did this cut twice in my life. in a year, once before I shaved my head and then the grow out phase after I shaved my head. And I hated it both times. Like, give me a buzz cut, give me a mullet, give me a pixie. I don't care anything. Do not give me the boy cut. If you are going to be shaving your head, this is a cut that you have to go through. If you have curly or wavier hair, you might experience a better outcome than me, but because I have very fine straight hair, it gave nothing. It didn't give anything. It doesn't really give feminine, but at the same time it didn't give masculine. If you have a round face shape, no. If you have a square face shape, no. You can only do this haircut and pull it off if you've got heart shaped, really decent oval, or diamond. You need a bit of edginess. It will also kind of look good with triangle, but not so much. We're looking for diamond or heart shape. Those are the two. Even sometimes on men, I'm like 2-on-10. Really not my favorite. I really wouldn't recommend it to like many people. I think we're making great progress. Yes, currently I do have a bob slash graduated bob cut on. It was meant to be a bob, and then I forgot that this is a wig and I have to tuck my own hair underneath, which is causing the wig to bulge out. So now effectively we have a graduated bob, but because of this I now learned to not do this again when cutting wigs. So even if you end up buying a wig from me, know that I have learned from my mistakes. Back to the selection process. Oh my god, look what a young baby this is. Boy cut slash buzz cut, but this was like starting the phase of the boy cut. Like, a lot of makeup had to be worn. The long pixie. There are a collection of people on this earth that are able to pull off a lot of different looks because they have such particularly like striking features that you could literally put a potato sack on them and they could pull it off. Rihanna is one such person. But I feel like even Rihanna would have a hard time making this haircut not look dated, not look tired, not look... I don't know if long pixie is technically the right name for this. It essentially features the same kind of structure of a pixie, just with a couple inches more to it. The problem that this haircut has is that it's kind of in between. It's not exactly a pixie anymore, which means it's not going to have that like stylish, refined look, but it's also not really a mullet or a bob yet. And what that means is that we also can't really style it like we would a bob or a mullet. So at the end of the day, it just kind of ends up looking like a bit tired because you have no option but really to leave it natural. When you incorporate bright hair colors onto it and then growing out roots, the whole thing just looks a bit ¿Cómo se dice? Desperate. No bien. I did have this haircut for quite a while. Again, this was me growing out my buzz cut, but also routinely trimming my end to not look like a mullet. What we end up having is a bit of a pixie slash whatever this haircut actually is. My best advice to anyone who might accidentally have this haircut as a result of hair growth for any reason or a really bad botched haircut, really hone in to the layered nature of the cut and go for kind of a 90s vibe where they blew out the ends and really gave it that kind of spiky vibe, or else try to conceal it, try to cover it, go for like the Emma Parsons look, go for like finger waves, go for like really structured then styled, layered, heavily layered with product style. Because when I wore it and I didn't style it, I felt terrible. 4 out of 10. 4 out of 10 because it did nothing. The ultra sharp chin length bob. I'm not gonna let anyone hate on this haircut. Nora Smith recently got a haircut very, very, very similar to this haircut, and people were not impressed by it. It's also sometimes known as the bobblehead haircut, occasionally also referred to as the Lord Farquaad haircut, even though that's a completely different haircut. Do not mix the two together. I understand how it can look not great sometimes, but also how it can be a really, 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 really amazing haircut. So this haircut, one of the main reasons that it is so daring is that essentially the hair at the nape of your neck is completely cut off. Like the very like edge of your hairline, that is where the haircut starts and essentially line up with your jaw. One of the main reasons that this haircut could be super amazing is that if you have a nice striking jawline and you pair it with this haircut, you can create a very cool, optical illusion, kind of looking like a helmet, because the whole thing looks like it's just one continuous line. Pair it with like a deep hair color then, and you got yourself a killer look. The problem is, if it is cut a bit too straight over here so that then the lines do not align, there is no graduation or continuation of shapes, or it is cut a bit too low, too high, or a bit disjointed, or your hair type isn't completely absolutely straight, or immediately you could get a bit of a geeky effect. It doesn't look flattering, all of the appeal goes down the drain. One person who actually pulled it off incredibly well was one of the rich blonde entitled ladies on the latest season of White Lotus. In fact, I really love the appreciation of how many bobs there were in this season. I really did see this haircut on her, and you could see that her hair always was super straight, it wasn't too thick, and it was paired with a very chic and classy hair color. The combination made this perfect for her. Another reason why: she has a very slender face and a semi-long neck. Two things you also need to pull off this haircut and look good with it. For me in particular, this haircut was super low maintenance. I could just wash it and leave the house. The fact that there were no layers meant that there were no disruption. It also fit my face shape super well. And if you have a daintier, more elfin face shape, head size, anything of the sort, this can be super good for you. High schedule, anything of the sort, this is not the haircut for you. But for me, I'm gonna give this bitch 9 on 10. The banged graduated bob, I am on the fence about. I ended up going for the graduated A-line banged split dyed bob. There are two things that I did kind of that I regretted later on. But when you go for a split dye, immediately you are kind of telling the world that you are a bit alternate. You are not playing by the rules. Yes, I can have two colors on my hair. Yes, I will split them in half. That is normally good paired with a mullet, with ultra long hair, with like a bit of a, what I call it, a box cut, with a bit of a shag cut. It is not entirely suitable with a graduated banged, super fine chic bob. The two just don't go together. This is once again one of those things where it was like personalities clashing. The fun, quirky, creative is meeting the sensible, elegant, and chic. Two words that don't necessarily collide. I also don't think that I necessarily had the face shape to pull it off. Having bangs along with a graduation, along with a line, was just a lot that needed to be kind of tackled on their own, but in this case they had to be tackled all at the same time. In fact, I made multiple videos attempting to style it, and it was just like, ugh. It's a bit falling flat. When I then colored it a much more sensible chocolate brown a few weeks later, the haircut immediately kind of got a life on its own, and you could kind of see like this did end up looking okay. I still won't say it was like the best haircut for me, but it was cute. It had its moment. It didn't fit me personality-wise. So I'm gonna give this a 6 on 10. The long bob, also known as the lob. In the late 2018s, 2019s, literally every single person on the planet and their Pinterest account, Tumblr account, and whatever Snapchat account we still had at the time featured the long bob. This is probably one of the chicest, most adorably sensible, gorgeous, stylish haircuts that you could get if you had longer hair and you just chopped it all off roughly around your clavicle or shoulder, but normally below the shoulder. Because of all the hair being collected to one point, and then typically this haircut either being gently blown inwards or else kept pretty neutrally straight, this haircut was very flattering on most hair types. Kim Kardashian kind of made it her whole personality. Even if you have textured hair, even if you have straighter hair, even if you have denser hair, for the most part, because of the length and the lack of layering of this haircut, and because it's normally paired with a sensible middle part, it's easy. It's easy to maneuver, it's easy to style, it's easy for your stylist to style if you go get regular blowouts, but even just a Dyson can give you a pretty good result. I personally did not like it all that much for the simple reason that I do like a bit of edge in my hair, and I felt that this was too safe. I, to be honest, feel that with any hair that is longer than my shoulder, it just ends up being a bit safe. It's a bit boring. It doesn't really end up being something that I feel particularly creative in, but it is super easy to just live with. 8 on 10. This haircut immediately became a 9 on 10 when I then paired it with a bit of curtain bangs and a bit of messier waves. Again, still the exact same haircut, but this time it's got a tiny tiny bit of bangs, a tiny bit of like face formation going on, and a bit of wave, a bit of like texture that I love. Now for the bob. The bob. Popularized in the 1920s during the flapper girl era because of its convenience to be able to be finger waved. The bobby pin was invented around this time, and it actually got its name because of how often it was used to keep a bob in place. So people often refer to it as a bob pin or else a bobby pin. This haircut is a godsend. It is pristine, it's elegant, it's chic, but it could be played up, it could be quirky, it could be fun, it could still be pulled into a ponytail, but it could still live very, very freely with very little consequence. It dries easily, it doesn't require a lot of styling. If you have a tiny bit of wave in your hair, you just scrunch and go. If you have no wave in your hair, it's convenient, it falls flat. And if you do love bleaching and coloring your hair to all hell, trimming it will keep your hair still relatively healthy. The bob is 10 on 10. You can fight me on this, but this haircut is literally the best haircut. Earlier this year, my hair actually did get quite long and I did include some layers into it and I hated it. It really wasn't my kind of a haircut, so immediately I was like, we need to cut it. We need to get us back to our roots. I think at this point, I have become so synonymous with just the one length just above shoulder bob that it's like it's a trademark. It is my brand. I love this haircut, and if you have an inclination towards a short haircut but aren't sure of what to do, try this. Do not misinterpret me. I do not say try the Lord Farquhar haircut, which includes ugly ass bangs and hair that is so flat that it bubbles outwards. Now, I am telling you to try a one length cut, slightly angled down towards the front, making it A-line. If your hair is super thick, remove some bulk from the ends with some thinning, with some shearing, or maybe even with some thinning techniques that I have posted at some point on my TikTok. Keep the edge clean of layers. Do not cut bangs into it. A bob cannot have face framing layers in it. And if you have a rounder face shape, make sure that it's longer. Do not go for like super short. And also make sure it's tousled. Do not curl it inwards. Pair it with your favorite hair color and you have got yourself an icon of a haircut. 10 out of 10. So if you are looking for your next short haircut and are unsure of what actually goes in and what every single one of these entails, this video will have put your mind at ease as to what might be the best fit for you. When you are considering a short haircut, keep in mind that it's very different than a long haircut because you cannot hide behind a short haircut. And considering your face shape, your maintenance, your hair type, your hair thickness, your hair color, and then how much time you're able to afford to styling your short haircut is 100% going to have to factor in when it comes to picking the right hairstyle for you. Most likely there are multiple different styles and cuts that can actually suit you, but it will come down to what you're actually willing to put in, manage and maintain that haircut that is going to be a defining factor. I've gone through and tried every single one of these and I've definitely formed very, very, very strict opinions about every single one of them. And I know that whilst I will be retrying some of them in the future, I 100% will not be trying others in the future. Okay? Thank you very much. If you enjoyed these videos, make sure to subscribe and comment below which haircut surprised you the most. We'll be releasing new videos relating to the best hair types, to the best hair colors, to the best hairstyles, and potentially to long hairstyles that you can try. If you want to support through purchasing, I have an online shop where you could buy my hero paddle brushes or else my handcrafted, hand-dyed wigs that I custom create to match every single season and in particular look absolutely natural to you. I hope you enjoyed this video. I hope you'll give it a go and I will see you in my next video.